What is up, guys? Welcome, Crypto FUD, and let's jump right into this, guys. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. We've had a massive run in the market. Let's do this, guys. Let's do this. Old, what's going on, brother? All right, so let's jump in here. I'm not going to be on here for too long. Obviously, we already know exactly what's going on for today. Right now, Bitcoin sitting at around 80. Right now, sitting at around 82,900. Looks like we did get rejected at a big spot for some rejection at 83.5, somewhere around that area. You can see it's been an area where we pretty much have bounced off of this area. It has been resistance before, and I mean within the last few weeks, as we've kind of been in this area of downward movement. Obviously, a nice bounce with the big W pattern that's formed. We had a beautiful beautiful double bottom, nice bounce. Obviously, had nothing to do with any kind of a W pattern. This had solely to do with the fact that there's a pause for a majority of the tariffs, right? We've been talking about this for the last few weeks, and I've been saying the same thing, and it's still the same. Until the tariffs get resolved, we weren't really going to see any kind of movement in the market as far as being up and staying up. Right now, we have gotten some good news, right? But we're not going to get ahead of ourselves yet. We've seen, the announcement coming out that majority of the countries are basically at the negotiating tables with America, right? With the states, whether you like it or not, who cares? But the markets obviously like seeing some kind of a resolve. A lot of uncertainty with the tariffs. Now we're getting a little bit more clarity, seeing that majority of the countries are going to find some kind of a resolve here if they haven't already, given now that the United States obviously are going to have a pause for the next 3 months, which is 90 days. Now, we definitely want to see, and we're going to be monitoring this monitoring it daily. Unfortunately, we definitely want to see this 90-day pause get resolved, right? We don't want to see this 90 days roll around and then we're back in the same situation in 3 months from now, because it won't be good, because we have a timer that is going right now, guys. And I'm telling you this right now, 2026, there's going to be a bear market. There's going to be a bear market no matter what. I'm not saying right when we roll over into January the 1st is going to be a bear market. But what I'm saying is at some point in 2026, we most likely naturally will get into a bear market, just because that's normally what we do after about 4 or 5 years. The markets tend to get into some kind of a downward slump, bear market for about 18 months, somewhere around there, and then we kind of do the whole thing all over again, right? But still have plenty of time. And honestly, if you have been stacking up like we've been talking about for my members, we talk about it on the regular streams as well for the last few weeks, the last few months, but really in the last couple weeks, we have seen these alts particularly just go down to some of these levels that it's like, bro, I mean, we are in bear market prices right now. If you have the dry powder, not financial advice, this would be beautiful time to be buying in. Remember yesterday's stream, yesterday's stream, extreme fear, beautiful buy zone, right? Regardless of whatever you're looking for, market is in extreme fear, usually tends to be a good time to be accumulating or just buying in on whatever projects that you're bullish on. And what's crazy is the following day, boom, we see some kind of a resolve. But I keep wanting to just mention, we do not want to get ahead of ourselves and just think this is it. We're going to just strictly be running up, because there's going to be probably stuff in the middle, little bumps, right, that might throw the market off here and there. But like I said, we're getting some kind of news for some kind of a resolve. Things are looking good. Markets are looking great. Looking across the board for the daily, things are looking actually absolutely fantastic right now. Bitcoin's up 8%, but that's basically the smallest mover, obviously biggest market cap. But if you're looking at, across the top 100, you have basically, across the board, the market is absolutely running right now. Unfortunately, Fartcoin is up the highest right now at 40%. Fartcoin is going to plague us. I hope you guys bought some Fartcoin, because this damn thing is going to plague us forever. Fartcoin is going to be the biggest meme coin. I'm a little disappointed that I've been hating on Fartcoin since it came out, and I'd never bought in on the dip, and this thing is going to literally haunt me. I don't know about you guys, but it's just going to sit there and just linger Linger. It said it's got that ass gas blast. There we go. That's a nice little rhyme right there, bro. Yeah, but I mean, hey, you can't hate on it, honestly, bro. 40% move, and that was just today. Yesterday, I think it was up like 20% while the market was down. So absolutely crazy. But really looking, Jasmy's up 16%, Ondo 22%. I mean, we could go through the board. ADA 14%, Hype 27%, Fetch called it out yesterday. Just one of mine that I was calling out, especially on the members only stream. We called this when it pretty much hit rock bottom. Fetch being a big play. ICP up 10% being a good play. I think there's so much more movement in ICP that we're going to see. Floki, Shiba, right? Bunk, Doge right now. Let's see here. Pepe, 16%. Freaking meme coins are absolutely ripping today. Absolutely ripping today. And that's really what I wanted to talk about today, is particularly what's going on, Ricky. Particularly meme coins. They have been basically forgotten, right? They've been the forgotten stepchild in the last few months. And only the crazy of the crazies like us have been accumulating our meme coins. Also our utilities, right? And our big cap alts. But the meme coins, we know what's going to happen here, right? Confidence isn't all the way there yet, right? I already told you guys, when we see this bounce, we're going to see a fast, quick bounce. That's what we saw today. We really haven't seen that, 50, 60% move yet. I do think that if the markets continue to get confirmation that most of the tariffs, if not all of them besides China, are basically taken care of, you're going to see these, pretty much everything that you're looking at right now is going to jump up 50, 60, 70%, just getting back to where we were at 2 months ago, right? And then I think that's what's going to bring the market in, and you're going to bring a lot of liquidity that's been kind of sitting on the sidelines. It's going to come flowing in. I mean, think about this. Today, the S&P is up almost 10%. Do you know how much money had to come in today for the S&P to be up 9.5%? I mean, we're talking probably over $1 trillion probably just came into the S&P alone. The NASDAQ, 12%. The Dow Jones up almost 8%. Tesla is up 22% today. Apple, 15%. Netflix, almost 9%. I mean, going across the board, these are freaking massive stocks with massive amount of market caps. Talking about the S&P is a collection of all the top, tech stocks you can name of, and they're up 9%. Imagine how much money has come back into the market. And it's just a little fraction of what's come out and what's still sitting on the sidelines right now that hasn't actually flown in. I'm curious to see tonight, when the Asian market comes out, if they're going to be going crazy jumping in or whatever the case is, that and the European market. They should be waking up here soon in the next few hours. Very curious to see if they're going to be adding on to these buys with news, because right now they're all sleeping. Well, most of them, but when they wake up and they find out, that a lot of these tariffs, especially in the Europe areas, is what I'm thinking. We're going to see a lot of money coming back in to the into all the markets, but particularly the crypto market maybe tonight, given that crypto doesn't sleep. So it said, what meme coins are you into? Fart coin. They come up to you, they're like, bro, I'm trying to get into to crypto. Everybody's been telling me to buy memes. What do you think's a good meme? It's like, honestly, bro, I'm bullish on fart coin. What? Yeah, bro, fart coin, bro. It is, bro. I'm very bullish on fart coin. Someone's gonna be looking at you like, bro, are you freaking kidding me right now? It's a meme coin thing, bro. Just buy it and hodl. Ricky said, hopefully we can get up to 100% so I can get half my money back. Well, it's all about patience, right? I think if you can really set your patience up really well, I think it's going to play out really well for you, bro. And on all of us, honestly. All of us. Especially if you've gone through... It feels like we've gone through hell. I'm telling you, if this was it was bad, right? It was bad, but it was on a... if you were to throw it up on a list of how bad things have gotten previously in crypto, just in the last 5 years that I've been in crypto, this probably doesn't even top the top 5, honestly. It was up there, but does not top the top 5. Like I said, I always tell you guys certain stories about 2021 and really going through the bear market was, I mean, the last bear market was brutal, was absolutely brutal. So Demon said, "Are you bullish or wait until next week to see if it's actually bullish?" I mean, bro, I'm honestly, I'm honestly, I've always been bullish, right? As far as we're not in a bear market yet, and I've been saying this, right? It's all on my streams whenever we stream daily or every other day or whatever the hell it is. Because I'm not gonna lie, I haven't. When shit was getting bad, I was like, bro, I'm not going back out and streaming right now. Nothing's changed. The tariffs are kicking our ass, right? I was like, I'll stream for the members. I was like, but that's pretty much it, because it was not fun. But you can go through the streams that we did have in the last few weeks, and I basically was coming out like a recordian saying the same thing, right? I'm bullish, I'm accumulating, I'm DCAing, I've obviously I have my leverage trades, which I had a long open this morning, ended up closing it today after we went crazy. Members, you guys know what I'm talking about. This is something that we focus on a lot, especially in these times that we've been in, as far as like while we were moving down, how to continue to make money while you're still hodling, right? And that was something we focused on our members only streams, plural, because we've been streaming a lot on our members. But still bullish, right? Been DCAing like crazy, buying like crazy, just adding to the bag. And personally, what was the question? They're asking, should we wait until next week to see if it's actually bullish? I mean, I understand why you say that, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know. I guess it would be up to your discretion as far as like wanting to kind of wait to fill the market out. If we continue on this track right now and things basically at, like, let's say today, tomorrow, next week, we're getting more word that just more stuff's getting resolved with the tariffs. The market is only going to be moving up for right now. Now, I'm not saying that we're not going to see, dips in between here and there. And whenever all these tariffs are done and we're naturally moving again, you guys know how it is. We have red days, we have green days, right? I mean, it's just natural. I think if we get to see like everything resolved in the next few weeks, we're going to be looking back, and I don't say me because I'm not going to be included in that. A lot of people are going to be looking back that were terrified, right? That weren't buying, that particularly were selling, and they're going to be looking back like, like shit, I shouldn't have done that, But that's just my opinion. Right? I mean, we don't know for a fact, like I said at the beginning of the stream, we don't know for a fact if we're fully out of this, right? It's just a good day, right? We're going to take it in, but we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. But the point of what I'm getting to is Memecoin'S in particular have been basically forgotten, right? They've been basically forgotten. And you can see as of today on a lot of these projects, if we zoom out, it doesn't look like a massive move, right? But you can see just in the last day, just for Pepe, that's at like a $3 billion market cap, up 21%, right? So you can see a lot of money just off of just the quickness flowing in on a lot of these meme coins. And it's probably going to continue if the confidence stays in the market, right? As long as the market is not doing bad and you see confidence building in the market, you're going to see people jumping back into those riskier assets, aka meme coins. So it's gonna happen like this. Bitcoin obviously is gonna need to get back up into the higher 80s, into the 90s. You're gonna see a lot of these secondary alts, right? The bigger cap alts like Solana, XRP, Ethereum's having a great day. Ethereum's up 13.5%. You're gonna see a lot of these big major altcoins taking shine, right? They're gonna be getting back what they lost, and then you're gonna see people from there moving on to the smaller, the mid caps, and then you're going to probably see meme coins start getting flooded with a lot of liquidity, a lot of money coming back in as the market gets comfortable, right? But this is all if, right? This isn't a guarantee or anything like that. If you ask me, some of these meme coins are still, I mean, even though if they're up 20%, they're still down 60, 70% from where we were at, in the last few months. So, I mean, still not a bad DCA. I personally, I'm looking, I'm not looking at you particularly, but I'm just like, we've been out here saying this for the last few weeks while shit's been real bad. This is it. This is an opportunity right here. Don't focus on when everything's going to get resolved. Just focus on what you have in front of you right now and what you can control. And that's DCAing, right? And just accumulating on whatever you're bullish on, whether it is meme coins or if it's, Solana, XRP, Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever, ICP. You guys can just fill in the blank on that one. Jasmy's absolutely ripping. And this was something that we called in the members only stream. I said, bro, Jasmy under a penny. That's a ripper right there. That's a ripper. And I know you would think, oh, Fartcoin, that's a ripper. No, Jasmy's the ripper. 40% move from this bottom just 2 days ago. Jasmy's already bounced 40%. That's a move right there. And imagine, sorry, my hat's like freaking like sticking to my forehead. Just imagine buying Jasmy at less than a penny, and we easily run back up to that 4 or 5 cent. That's an easy 4 or 5x on Jasmy right there. Just getting back to where we were at, right? Just getting back to where we were at. So massive movement in the market today. I think we're going to look back and we're going to be like, holy crap, we were given a freaking blessing. It sucked while you're going through it. It's not fun. Even if you're bullish, I was bullish, and I was even getting into the, oh man, this sucks. Like just watching the charts every day, and it's just like, even though I was buying, I still was just like, because it does stink, right? It does stink just to be in that environment of just a bearish kind of environment while you're in a bull run. So, but I told you we were going to survive. And even though I am continuously saying it's not over with yet, it feels good. Now, extreme fear is still in place right now. I guarantee that when this is updated, we're probably going to be in some kind of like mid fear, somewhere probably in the 30s or 40s. I would imagine a big bounce up, which is basically telling me that confidence is slowly but surely building, right? But we still have a ways to go till we can get into neutral and into greed and extreme greed, right? But we'll take it easy for right now, because we already know extreme greed are usually sell signs, right? That's usually when we're getting close to either a top or something like that, where you want to start watching and potentially taking profits. But right now, we're nowhere near there. Market cap jumped up almost 9% at around 2.6 trillion for right now for the whole markets, for the whole crypto space. So money's flown in, but we're nowhere near where we were at. Remember, we topped out at around 3.8 trillion. So we are down for the whole crypto space about 1.2 trillion dollars, even after the bigger run for today. Even after seeing some of the, these or most of the market recuperating at least 10-15%, we're still down over $1 trillion in the crypto space. So there's still a lot of money that's sitting on the sidelines that's waiting to come in. And just like Demon said, should we wait? What I think a lot of people were either, you have the crazy, all of us that have been buying in, and you have a lot of people that dove in right when they got the news of the pause and the tariffs, and then you have a lot of money that's thinking just like Demon. Should I wait? I'm going to wait. Is this a fake out, right? And you're going to have bears right now that are coming out. They're kind of hiding right now. The bears are hiding, but they're going to come back out after today, tomorrow, and they're going to basically tell you that this is most likely a fake out. And I'm not going to disagree with them, because we don't know yet. We really don't know. That's why I'm not sitting here like, oh, going all in, opening up longs or anything like that. As of right now, I actually closed my long just because we moved up from where we were at and where I opened up a long. Now it's kind of just wait, and we'll let the market play itself out. We're in a good position right now, especially if you've been accumulating in the last, few weeks. So we have the Fed meeting coming up. In less than a month. And I wanted to point this out. Bro, this freaking hat is bothering me. Sheesh. It's like, I don't know what it is. It's a newer hat. So Fed meeting. We were talking about this. We've been talking about it for the last month. And I've been calling for some kind of reduction in interest rates for this next meeting. And up until probably about 2 hours ago, it was looking like I was going to be spot on again, because I called the last time we saw reductions in interest rates, I called it 6 months before we saw it. Well, this time around, I still do believe that we potentially are going to see it, but my confidence is starting to come down a little bit, just because the tariffs are possibly getting resolved, and now Jerome Powell might have the green light to keep it paused one more Fed meeting. As of earlier today, this was about 40 55%, somewhere around there. It was almost at 50-50 like I was calling, right? 50% of the market calling for some kind of reduction in interest rates in May. 50% of the market still running off of no, there's going to be a pause. Well, it's kind of moved back over to the pause at around 86%, only 14%. Still me, I'm still in this camp of 14%. I still do think that we might see some kind of a reduction in interest rates. If not, I do think that if we don't see a pause this time around, I think that Jerome Powell is going to most likely come out very dovish with some good things to say with because he can't literally tell you, hey, yeah, we're reducing interest rates on the next meeting, but he might come out saying a little bit more dovish, meaning more bullish, with maybe giving hints that the Feds have confidence that they could possibly see reductions in the near future. Something on those languages, meaning most likely in June. And for now, June, even though June shifted a little bit towards a little bit higher now of the market calling for a pause, we still have about 65% saying that we're going to see some kind of a reduction in June. I think the market's kind of figuring out how much. Are we going to see that 0.25%, or are we going to see a 0.5% reduction? If we are going to see one in June, pause on May, it's most likely, regardless if it's May or June, it's going to be a 0.25%. They're going to start off with a 0.25% for sure. So well, definitely that's something we'll monitor, because any reduction in interest rates is going to be nothing but a plus for the market. So looking at DeFi for today, nothing. I mean, obviously everything's kind of running today. I made a big move on call. I bought in actually this morning. I bought in at around the 17, I think it was. It was like right when it dipped down. Oh, it was the lower 18s, and I just sold my call right before we started the stream. And you're like, well, how did you do that? Because we're most likely going to keep moving up. I understand, but I was able to pick up a nice little move because I picked up a solid bag, a nice little 15% move in a few hours. I wasn't too mad at what I saw whenever I sold. So I was like, you know what? I'll take the move. And I'll kind of wait to see, what we're going to do as far as with the chronos and all that good stuff. But nice little move this morning. And I definitely called this out yesterday on yesterday's stream. And I've been actually screaming about call. Anything below that 20 area was probably a good move as far as even if you're day trading, call. So, but other than that, the other thing that happened today, freaking Miro. Before the market started running, Miro started ripping. Miro ran up 50, it says 40%. It was up about, I think, 48% at some point as of today. Let me pull up the other chart. But it was absolutely ripping, and then it took a shit. It literally was up. You can see about 50%, and then it took a shit out of nowhere and dropped down to newer lows for Miro. And this all happened before anything with the market, and it just leads to believe like this was like an inside job here, where we saw a massive run up and then we saw an even bigger sell off. When I started to dig around for Miro particularly, a lot of people were anticipating some kind of a big news with Binance, right? And then I guess it didn't come through, or whatever the case is, and now there's a lot of people pissed off. Because we saw that, like I said, that massive run up, and I mean within minutes, it just took a shit. It was down 40+% after the run. So, looks like people are back to being bullish. Earlier, people were mad. People were mad just because of the ups and downs. But I do think that Miro down the road, I am a big believer in Miro particularly. I do think it's going to do really well later on. But just a lot of manipulation happened today, so it is what it is. Someone at Miro sold some shit. I mean, I think a lot of people were thinking it was the devs, but I will say this is what I gathered. So majority of the volume came in through Gate.io, right? 31.5% basically of volume came in through Gate.io. It didn't come in through like the DEX. If you're gonna see a dev usually if you're going to see it, now I could be completely wrong, but usually if you're going to see a dev sell off, it's most likely going to be in DeFi. They're most likely going to have their DeFi wallet, right? And they're going to sell off, so it's going to show up on Radium. Volume today on Radium was pretty low, 4.8%. It really wasn't anything too big, and there really wasn't anything on, if you go on to the DEX for Radium, there really wasn't any massive sales today. Like, I'm talking about anything out of the normal, right? Like some kind of $100,000 or $500,000 sale, or even increments of it. There wasn't anything like that to happen. So I don't know for a fact if this was a dev. They could have done it very swift or very sneakily, if that's even a word, sneaky, right? As far as just maybe transferring to a bunch of wallets and selling, in small increments, perhaps. I don't know, but how fast we ran up and how fast this thing dropped. I'm talking about, you can see, look, this right here paints the picture. We were climbing, and this was basically one sell. This was literally one sell. It was pretty much $1 million, because remember, the market cap on here is only $11 million at the time. When this was up, it was probably at around $18-19 million. Literally $1 million sale happened somewhere. $1 million sale happened, and that's what basically started the big sell-off. And then you can see a lot of people got spooked, and boom, you see the sell-off here. So, like I said, I don't know exactly what the hell happened. It is what it is. And what's crazy is we had this spot as a resistance for the longest, right? And it literally ran right up, kissed that line, and then whoever was like, all right, hit the sell button. Beep. And sold off. So it is what it is, because you know what I did? I let everything play out. I was kind of pissed, because I was like, damn it, I should have sold, because we were up like 50% for the day, right? I should have sold and known, because this was even before the market was running. And this is my train of thought, is this is when everything was still intact with the tariffs, and the market, and Bitcoin was at like 75 grand, and I was like, everything was still bad. We saw Myro running. I should have, usually when this is happening, when we're in that environment, it's going to be, if there's any kind of spikes, it's going to be short-lived, and it's going to be sell-offs, right? We're up 50%, and I honestly, hindsight 2020, it's easy to say now, but I'm really upset with myself that I didn't just reposition myself. I would have sold for a loss, but if buying back in, I would have been able to use the same liquidity and literally doubled my position, bringing my average down. Obviously, it was a risky play, but I like, as we were moving down, it hit me, and I was like, fuck. I was like, I should have freaking, even though I wouldn't have probably caught the top, when we hit like that 40 or 50% move up, I should have taken advantage of it, right? It is what it is. It is what it is. So, but we dropped down to the abyss. We actually dropped down and basically kissed that 1 cent mark, and I was able to accumulate a nice larger bag, right? Just bringing my average down. So things aren't going to always work out in your favor, right? But I took advantage of this massive dip and basically just accumulated more. So it is what it is, right, guys? Because I do believe that Myro is going to do all right. I do. Yeah, it says it screens manipulation. 100%. It 100% screens manipulation, dude. Yeah, it said you never know where they placed the wallet beforehand. Oh, I'm sure. And it wasn't like out of the just, it was all planned. Because there was no reason for Myro to even spike like it was. So I'm sure it was a calculated plan, probably with multiple devs or who knows. I'm sitting here talking about the devs. Who knows, right? Who knows? Demon said he regrets selling his Jasmine. Oof. I mean, it's still pretty low. It's just now you're going to be playing catch up. It's still pretty low. I mean, you're at a spot right now. Keep an eye on it, right? Keep an eye on it. You're at a resistance. You see how it's come up, and it's basically, it keeps hitting its head at this resistance zone, this resistance area at around the 11 mark, which we've had this basically labeled for a while, because you can see this is an area that we've had some support. And this is stuff that we cover as well on our members only stream. We haven't really covered it a lot lately because we've gone over resistance and support levels, but this is also what we do as far as on our members only stream as well. So if you're interested, hit that join button. But yeah, keep an eye out. This 11 mark, 1170, I mean, it's in a good spot where it keeps retesting this. A lot of times that's an indication that it's probably going to break above. When you see some kind of a quick hit and then a drop, obviously that's a rejection. But if you see a hit and it's kind of hovering and it keeps retesting that area, a lot of times that's going to be an indication that you're going to break above. So I just keep an eye on it. You never know. Maybe we come back. I don't know if the markets stay healthy, I don't know if we're going to come back and retest, below 1 cent mark for Jasmy, but maybe you can come down. Maybe you'll be able to grab a lower 1 penny Jasmy. Who knows? So, but good luck with that, bro. It said that's going to get me too close, or that's what gets me too, because I'm logical, following the market, and then this kind of thing happens. Tells me something was sneaky about it. I agree. Or maybe an old wallet was like, oh shit, and he looked at it. And yeah, I mean, right? Coincidentally, just like a freaking someone that's holding $1 million, not even a million Myro, because it was a lot more, but $1 million worth of Myro, coincidentally just looks at the chart and is like, oh shit, we're up 50%, and sells. Honestly, bro, it's only two things, right? Someone that's been accumulating when we were down like crazy, right? Which, I mean, if you really look at Myro, up until before, they had to accumulate in this zone for them to make a lot of money, right? Because other than that, we really were kind of in this same area, right? So either it was somebody that accumulated right here, somebody that either had a massive amount and sold for a loss, right, and just took their shit and ran, or 70% chance it was an inside job with most likely the devs. And I think that's what a lot of people have come to the conclusion, and that's why people are kind of like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Excuse my language. It was kind of fucked up. You know, especially for today, it fucked everything up. Sorry, that was 3 F words in literally less than a minute, but it kind of messed things up because, right after this, the market starts running. If these dumbasses would have just let everything be, right, Myro would probably be at like probably 2 cents right now, and the dumbasses could probably sell off without hurting the damn project. But who knows? We're all speculating, right? We don't know if it was actually the actual dev or who, right? So who knows? Who knows? But there's the man, the myth, the legend right there. Where's Flip at? Where's Flip? So breaking, Bitcoin reclaimed 81K. This was asked up earlier. Amid tariff pause, China still hit with 125% tariff rate. That's crazy. Temu. Everything that was $1 just turned into $2.50. So Bitcoin reclaimed 80K level while major U.S. stocks indices roared higher after President Donald Trump announced a temporary pause on the administration tariff regime for some countries. Bitcoin traded above 81K Wednesday afternoon while the Nasdaq was nearing a 10% gain as the latest announcements from the White House claimed markets that had been rocked by fears of prolonged and aggressive trade war. In a post on his Truth Social platform, President Trump said several countries had reached out to initiate negotiations on trade tariff and currency issues. As a result, he authorized a 90-day pause on new tariffs and temporary reduction on existing reciprocal tariffs rate to 10%. However, administration is raising Chinese tariffs to 125% effective immediately. So he wrote, based off the lack of respect that China has shown to the world's market, I hereby raise the tariff charged to China by the United States of America to 125% effective immediately. At some point, hopefully in the near future, China will realize that the days of ripping off, and he's basically saying ripping off America is over. One thing before we started the stream, I did see from a little birdie that Trump is indicating that China, and behind scenes, they're not coming out socially, but behind the scenes has been knocking on the door wanting to figure the shit out, right? And I think with Trump, hopefully he's smart enough to know that, China, the Chinese, they're proud people, right? And China basically looks at it as they are on par with the United States. Whether you agree with that or not, I don't really care. I don't agree with it, honestly, but it is what it is. Much respect to the Chinese. But what I'm getting to is no country, whether this was reversed, right? You think Trump would want to bow down and be like, yeah, they beat me? No, right? So I think if Trump's the businessman that he says, he will figure out some kind of way to where both parties look like they won, right, for their for their countries, and everything gets resolved, right? Because I think at the end of the day, even if everything's resolved with Europe and all the other countries, China's a big exporter, right? Everything in my house is Chinese. Just kidding. I saw that on a movie, right? But in all due reality, China's a big exporter, right? So, the soonest we can get everything resolved, I think better for all of us, right? It's not about who has more to lose and who can stand out longer, with all this. I think the faster we can find some kind of resolve, it'll be nothing but beneficial for everybody, and especially the markets, right? Because I think that's why we see that the markets are at 83,400 right now. But imagine if we find out tomorrow that China and the United States have come to some kind of agreement. That'll probably push us over the limit where Bitcoin will probably run up towards 90K, right? And get up to these higher levels that we know we're supposed to be at. So, like I said, much respect to the Chinese, right? I understand both parties. I hope that we come to some kind of resolve. And I think that when we finally get to that, I think that's when it's going to set us up for a massive move. And like I said earlier, the one thing that we just don't want to see, sorry, my dog just came running here. She's like, take me out. The one thing that we don't want to see, because people in crypto, we have ADD, right? And whatever happened last week, we're going to forget about that shit in 2 weeks, right? And we're going to keep moving, and just whatever else is going on in crypto, we're going to be focused on that. And we're tunnel vision, right? But remember, this is a pause for 3 months. The last thing that we want to see is all this crap come back in 89 days from now, right? So we want to see some kind of resolve with all of this. We don't want this shit coming back. So that's what we're waiting for. That's what we're hoping for. And we're going to keep an eye on, because if it doesn't, you better believe we're going to be right back in the same position, if not worse, in the next few months if shit doesn't get squared off. And I have a feeling it's going to be a lot worse, because like I keep telling you guys, we have a time frame that the market has to get this last big run in. And I'm telling you, we can keep kicking the can down the road, but I really don't think if we're dealing with this shit at the end of this year, that I think that would be it. That would be it. And it would probably just, kickstart us into an early bear market. So we're not anywhere near that, and things are opposite. We're doing good right now. I'm just saying we have to keep our eyes open and make sure that we don't forget, that this stuff, is still lingering and hopefully it gets resolved. So Ricky said they can keep their damn $14 egg rolls. It's an inside joke. He's not being mean to the Chinese. Manny, what's going on, bro? It said it's over here is writing novels today, guys. Freaking novels. Let's get into it here. So it says it's the way this tactic works. The first phase is to shock them, then find a fair medium to do exactly what makes both look like rock stars to the people. Agreed. I do agree with that, bro. Amor said 2 words I noticed from the chats. I've always nixed, or is that noticed, when we start pumping. Regret. Oh, I regret. You're right, Amor. That does pop up, right? And what do I always say when we're down? I said I always say this when we're down. I feel like I do, right? Where I'm always like, you're going to regret. The biggest thing that's going to pop up when we're running, I always say this is, I should have bought more, right? And that's going to hit everybody. Whether you bought massively during this dip or not, when we're back up and like we're in massive, run territory and we're massive parabolic, and, you always look back and you're just like, damn it, I should have bought more, right? I should have bought more Myro when it was at 1 cent. It said, haha, true, laugh my ass, laugh, LMAO, don't ever regret. It's super easy when you make a decision. The one rule above all is buy low and sell high. If it's not high, then time is the best medicine. You have to wait, because almost almost always it will return to an all-time high, if not surpass it. I agree right there, bro. Those are facts. And he said that's the truth and the solid reality we live in. And if you follow that, you will always dominate. Look at that, bro. He wrote us. So if you guys don't know, It's is coming out with a book. And he just gave us, that was chapter 2 and chapter 3 of why you should always hodl, because it's always going to come back to all-time highs, if not surpass it. That was chapter 2 and chapter 3. It's, thank you so much. Let us know when your book drops, bro. I'm just messing with you, bro. So just finishing off here. So Trump's surprise move came after 4 days of the market volatility triggered by uncertainty over U.S. trade policies. Earlier this week, stocks saw its worst multi-day performance since the great financial crisis as investors weighed the possibility of a global recession risk tied to escalating tariffs. Treasury Secretary Scott Bassett announced that he would take the lead in incoming tariff negotiations. Wall Street sees Bassett's involvement as a stabilizing factor, favoring his moderate approach over the more hawkish stance of Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick and trade advisor Peter Navarro. Trump also took to Truth Social earlier Wednesday to urge investors to remain calm, and he added, "This is a great time to buy." And you know what's funny is he did say that. He came out and he's like, "Listen, it's a good time to buy right now. I'm just telling you, it's a good time to buy." And then freaking 2 hours later, the announcement came out. But one thing I want to say, and I want to, let's see if we can find it on Arkham. Let's see here. One thing I want to say, and I'm sure they should have it on here, is believe it or not, this morning, you know what Trump's Team Liberty, whatever Liberty Social, whatever the hell their company's called, they actually sold a bunch of Ethereum this morning for a loss of $100 million. And a few hours later, the announcement came out and Ethereum jumped up 15%. So that leads me to believe that even Trump and Trump's team necessarily did not, and this is just my opinion, they necessarily did not know exactly what was happening today. So I mean, they took a big loss today, selling a big portion of their Ethereum, and took a loss of $125 million. I was looking to see if it is probably on Arkham somewhere. Let's see here. $1 billion of Tether was just minted. That's breaking news an hour ago. Those are good signs. Andrew King's big long, $4.5 million in profit. He must be a member, because obviously I had a big long open as well. That's what she said. Let's see here. Sailor, this was yesterday. Sailor bought 500 for. Oh, this was okay. I see what they're saying. This is not. He didn't. I was like, damn. He bought 500,000 more. That's how much he holds for $35 billion. His average price is 67,458. This was as of yesterday. I don't see them posting about Trump selling off his Ethereum. I wonder if that was all fake, because they literally, I mean, this is the truth right here. Did I get catfished? Amora said Trump literally said this morning, buy now. It's big shout out to everybody. Make sure you guys slap that like, and I do appreciate it. Make sure you hit the like. While we're on Twitter, let's just see what's going on with Twitter. I always say Twitter, X. Let's see what's going on with X. Look, this was Donald Trump earlier. It's a great time to buy. My Trump impression is terrible. I know. I know it's terrible, guys. Twitter's not really going crazy like I was expecting. Honestly, even looking at some of these posts were from yesterday, even when we were down and out. I mean, still, you can see Bitcoin and, the maxis and us that are just not really phased by a lot of this stuff stayed bullish throughout it all, right? Let's see here. So we're still basically right now we've hit our head at that 83,550 area. Big spot for some resistance. We've only technically come up to retest it once, but same thing like I was saying with Jasmy. Jasmy was like kind of looking like it wants to keep testing that area it's at. Same thing. Bitcoin's looking like it wants to keep coming up and retesting this area. So hopefully we can keep kind of, even if we get rejected a few times, I'm anticipating that if we come up and we bounce and hit this area a few times, we're going to start shooting up on another leg up. So let me see if there's any other areas. I have so many different charts. This is my my leverage chart. You guys can see I don't have any positions open. I closed all my positions a little while ago. So you can see same thing. We have right here. I have it basically at around the 83.6. Technically need to bring this down slightly around the 83,560. Next big spot that I have, this is on my leverage chart, right? So I marked down every single little spot, right? But the next big spot that we're going to have is really not that far above at around the 83,750. You can see we've hit our head. This is at this spot right here that I have. We've hit our head a few times at that area. So I can imagine if we're going to break through this area, it's probably going to be a move. We'll probably come into this channel, find this as support that we're hitting our head on, and then eventually, if the markets allow it, we'll break above this 83. And the next big spot that I have after that is really going to be a shoot up to about 84.5, somewhere around that area. And then obviously we have a lot of other areas on our way up that are going to be resistance areas. Some of them we might just fly right by, just because, we have a lot of territory to reclaim, and some areas will be a little bit more resistance than others. So, but hopefully we're talking about all this in the next coming days and weeks as we start moving ourselves back up. But again, don't get ahead of yourself because this is just the beginning. We need to see and make sure the markets are back to being confident, and everything is, looking all right as far as with the Europe and Asia markets as well. So Art said you sold Myro and Orty. Hell no, bro. The hell do I look like, boy? I'm showing you my that right there was showing you my positions, my leverage. You see, long, short. This is where I open up my longs and shorts, bro. I ain't sell shit. I bought earlier right before we jumped up. I still hold my ordinals. I hold my Myro, Maniki. One thing that we talked about on the members only stream, I picked up a massive bag of ICP when we dropped below $5. Trying to think, Solana. There's a few other ones that are passing my mind right now, but those are pretty much the bigger holdings right there. And I know there's somebody watching like, bro, you don't have this coin, you don't have that coin, bro. Oh my God. I know we all have different projects, right? And I'm sure whatever you are holding is going to do really well, just like whatever I'm holding is going to do really well, right? Because I was telling you guys this the last few weeks. I was like, get a dice, write down, because the dice has 6 sides. Just write whatever you want, whatever project that you're thinking about buying. Roll the dice and just buy. Not financial advice. I was like, because I guarantee, this was a few days ago last week when we were down like crazy. I was like, I guarantee any one of those projects are going to have some kind of a rebound and some kind of a move towards the upside, right? But some projects are going to do better than others, right? And I could go through my analogy of why I'm holding on to like ordinals. We all know, if you're familiar with the channel, very bullish on ordinals. It's a BRC20 token, right? on the Bitcoin ecosystem. I know a lot of people don't realize that Bitcoin is an ecosystem, just like Ethereum and Solana. But with ordinals, it brings a lot of utility onto the Bitcoin ecosystem. Very small market cap, and it's basically what I just found out is each ordinals is basically pegged to each Bitcoin, right? And that's why there's 21 million ordinals. There's 21 million Bitcoin, and that's it. That's all there ever will be. So it's a pretty cool project. I think it's going to bring a lot of innovating things to Bitcoin, right? That I think some people aren't too happy about as far as like the Bitcoin maxis. They want Bitcoin to only be a strategic reserve where it's not really used for any kind of like DeFi. And then you have people like myself where it's like Bitcoin's is the unhackable freaking ecosystem, right? I mean, why not bring to a certain extent some kind of DeFi, and NFTs and stuff like that, and that's what ordinals brings. And I mean, at a point, I mean, even right now, bringing up since you guys got me on my ordinal stuff, even right now, I mean, the market cap's only at $150 million. This is already broke above $1 billion, right? I mean, it dropped all the way down to the lower hundred millions, so just a beautiful, in my opinion, a beautiful buy, right? Because small market cap, small circulating supply, right? And I mean, it always does really good in volume, especially on bad days. It does $50 to $100 million in volume, daily. So, I mean, when you throw in all that, that's usually a recipe for a project that will do really well when the markets allow it. So, Flip said, someone say dice? Nah, no gambling, bro. Morris said, I wouldn't be surprised if Trump says buy crypto and the super cycle starts. Who knows, bro? I'm surprised. I would imagine he needs to be careful. And I'm going to be honest because, I don't care who you are. You got to be careful because you can get, you can basically be accused of manipulating the market, right? And if you notice, Elon doesn't do anything. He doesn't say anything about Dogecoin. I don't know if you guys were around, but back in 2021, for a while, when right before the markets really started exploding, anybody that was in Dogecoin, right? I tell you guys this all the time. That was like the first project that I ever started buying was Dogecoin back in 2020, 2021. Buying Doge at like 2 cents, right? This is before anyone really was involved with Doge. There was a big community, but it was still tight-knit and small, right? And someone told me about it, and I got introduced, and they were like, basically my buddy was like, just buy. And I was like, all right. I was, not familiar with crypto whatsoever, and I started accumulating like crazy. Long story short, at that time, the only time we would see like good days is when Elon would tweet something about Dogecoin, and Doge would jump up 10, 20%, and then freaking 3 hours later it would be right back to where it was, right? But he actually had to fight a bunch of charges because the SEC at the time that was being run by Dirty Gary was coming after him for market manipulation, which I kind of understand, as far as that. If, I could see how it could be construed as far as like some kind of a market manipulation because it was moving when he was tweeting, but he stopped doing that. Even though he didn't get charged with anything, or I don't think he had to pay. I don't remember how the cases ended. But he basically stopped tweeting about it. And what I'm getting to is you don't really see that anymore, from Elon on Doge. So, Koktoshi, what's going on, bro? I'm not going to repeat what you just said because this is a kid-friendly channel, bro. Art said, don't you have XRP? Oh my God, bro. I don't have XRP, dude. If I wanted XRP, I would have been buying on all those live streams from a year and a half ago when XRP was at 40 cents for the last 3 years. I would have accumulated a bunch of XRP. I didn't, bro. And I'm like, damn, I should have when it was there. But now that it's it's at $2+ even though it's now it was at like 170. I don't know what it is now. XRP's at $2. Yeah, it's back up above 2. I'm not gonna say it's a bad buy, right? I think XRP is gonna freaking probably kill it with its banking utilities, and being such a financial coin, I think it's going to do really well, but just not my cup of tea right now. I feel like the ship is kind of sailed in regards to all that. So for myself, right? So Landon said, I started buying Shiba, Pepe, and Bitcoin. What other coins should I add to my portfolio, or should I keep buying those three? Well, first thing I'm going to say, Landon, let's all say it together. I don't give out financial advice, right? But my opinion, I have to say that, Landon, right? I have to say that. My opinion, Shiba, Pepe, Bitcoin, I mean, solid, right? You got two meme coins, and then you have the cream of the crop, Bitcoin, right? I think if I was in that same position, I would maybe look for a mid-cap utility project, right? I would maybe look for something like, like XRP, or maybe another one that I personally like is ICP, right? You could even go with your Solana. There's a lot of different ones, but I would, on that Caspa, something like that, where it's got a solid market cap, but it's not a massive market cap. It's kind of that mid-tier, but also brings you that utility. So it'll equal out your portfolio, right? Because meme coins are going to move. They're going to fluctuate the most because they're riskier assets. But that's where you're going to get you're probably going to see more gains through meme coins, right? Versus you're not really going to see Bitcoin probably at any time soon do 100x. Hopefully it does, right? But I don't think we're going to see a Bitcoin do 100x anytime soon. But you could see something like that maybe potentially on one of the meme coins, right? Or whatever the case is. The point of what I'm getting to is, if Bitcoin will be your stable, right? It'll keep your portfolio pretty stable. Meme coins are going to fluctuate. You get a mid tier, it'll kind of give you both worlds, right? Where you'll see some good fluctuation, but it'll also be stable. I guess your decision would have to be to pick which mid tier project, and like I said, I threw out a few: XRP, Solana, ICP. I'm big on. Even something like maybe like Fetch AI, right? If you're thinking maybe AI sector, Fetch AI, even though it is up 17%, maybe have some patience. Maybe we're going to see a little bit of a cool off just because we did see such a massive run today. Maybe tomorrow the market might cool off a little bit, and you might be able to get like a 5% discount on some of these projects. Something like that. Jasmy's another one. I can't even believe I didn't throw that out. Jasmy, another one. And it's up 19%, but still in a good little position to where maybe if you have some patience, it might cool off a little bit and you can jump in. That could be a good one too. A nice mid-tier project that has a lot of utility. So, but good question, bro. Good luck with that. Official said, what do you think about Turbo? Very bullish on Turbo. Very bullish. We have a lot of people on the channel that are very bullish on Turbo. I honestly think Turbo is going to do really well. It already killed it when it came out, right? It already killed it when it came out. Showed a lot of its strength. Let me pull up what we have here. I think if you're like kind of contemplating what meme coin to really like snag up right now, Turbo is probably, in my opinion, not a bad one at all. We saw such a massive run for Turbo, and you can see that it has cooled off a good bit, just like majority of basically all meme coins. So right now, even though Turbo is up slightly, like everything else in the market, it's still down a considerable amount. So something like Turbo could be a good little move. It's up 24% for today, right? So like I said earlier, and this kind of goes not financial advice, but kind of goes with everything. If you're kind of looking right now and you're like, should I, you're kind of getting back to being bullish. Maybe you jumped out of the market and you're thinking about coming back in, and you're looking at some of these projects. Me personally, if that was me and I was coming right now and I'm looking at a lot of these projects, if I'm looking at these projects like Turbo, it's up 24%, I'd maybe just feel it out, wait, and kind of see if maybe tonight, tomorrow, maybe we'll have a little bit of a cool off, where I don't think we're going to come. If things stay healthy where they are, we're probably not going to come back down to these bottoms, but it's really not far from where the bottom actually is. So in my opinion right now, I guess it's kind of both ways. No diddy on that one. Right now, not a bad time to be accumulating. Prices are still so freaking low, right? But maybe if you want to play on the riskier side and you kind of want to wait it out, maybe tonight or tomorrow you might see maybe a 5 or 10% discount from where we're at right now. Now, you could wake up tomorrow and we're even higher in the market. The Asian and European market are just basically piling on to the run that we've started today. So, it's hit or miss. I think safely right now, something like Turbo, particularly looking at Turbo, you can see how much is down. Wouldn't be a bad time to just be accumulating, in my opinion. So very bullish on that. Amor said, whoever wants our plays, join as a member. That's how we do. Hey, Amor, that's my boy right there. And that is true. That is true. I mean, I don't mind, right now, because I know a lot of people are curious, but that's literally what we do on our members only stream. Is we literally call out plays. And while everybody was so freaking like bearish and crying to their mommies, we're basically in our members only stream. We're all talking about what we're buying, pulling up plays, like just pointing out things and even just buying them from 2 days ago to today. Obviously, you're up like crazy, right? But honestly, looking long term, particularly some of these projects like Jasmy was one of the biggest ones that we were calling, like, bro, Jasmy under a penny. I was like, this is a sure bet. This is a sure win right here. And I mean, just 24 hours later, we didn't obviously know this was going to happen today, but up almost 20%. And I think that's just the beginning for Jasmy, in my opinion. So, Landy, I got you, bro. I appreciate you, man. Amor said, what was it, Flip or Ricky, that was all about Turbo? It's really, I have to give that to Flip. Flip's been really, since Turbo's dropped, he's been real bullish on Turbo. I have to give that to Flip. I always tell you guys, keep an eye out on Flip. On whatever even if he just mentions something, take it in consideration and just look the project up. There's been times where a lot of times where he's like, hey, can you pull this chart up? I'm like, yeah, it doesn't look bad. We come back 2 days later, it's up like 300%. I'm like, bro, what happened here? But yeah, guys, things don't look bad. It's good to have a day like today, right? It's good to have a day like today. I mean, if anything, it shows you how fast, and what we've been talking about, right? We've been talking about this. As soon as we start getting some kind of just good news in regards to these freaking tariffs, the market it just wants to explode, right? And not just the crypto market, but the stock market as well. So hopefully we will continue to see just good news on all this, and hopefully we don't have to circle back in 3 months and have to deal with this shit again, and it gets resolved and we can kind of move on and get back on track with the bull market. And like I've been saying, I have a feeling that a lot of us are going to look back, and either you're going to be on one side, you're going to be on either side, right? Where you're like, holy shit, this was a blessing, right? It sucked going through all this bullshit that we've seen in the last month or two, but it was a blessing because I just kept accumulating, or I bought in on that project that I thought I missed out on, and now I'm up massively, right? And there's going to be other people on the other side. They're like, beep. I should have freaking, pushed my emotions aside, and most likely should have been accumulating, while everybody was telling me that a recession was coming and run for the hills, So we don't know exactly, like I said, what's going to happen fully, right? We don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but when in doubt, when we're in those times, right? Because we will be there again. If it's, if we get right back into it, or if it's in a year or two, whatever the case is, there's ups and downs. Whenever there's extreme fear, my opinion is take advantage of it. Take advantage of it. They don't just say that, right? Be fearful when people are greedy, and be greedy when people are fearful, right? And that's that's an old school saying that's always played out really well in the markets, so Art's saying it's a bull trap. Is that what you're saying? So he comes in, he says, oh, Caspa looks great. And then he's saying, oh, we're in a bull trap. Get out of here. Just kidding. Could be, bro. Could be. I guess time's going to tell. Ethereum, though, looks great. Ethereum absolutely looks great. Bounced 14% today. Not looking bad. It was getting a little scary for Ethereum. It still is. I mean, $1,600 Ethereum's still pretty cheap. But guys, listen, with that being said, I hope you guys are doing good. I thank you guys so much for coming in and spending time with me. If you guys are new here, make sure you guys hit that like, hit the subscribe. As the markets continue to bounce up, I promise we will be streaming daily again. Obviously, my members, we will be streaming a lot more like we do, multiple streams every week, still calling out plays and still mapping out what we're going to be doing if the markets are going to continue to move up or move down. You guys know how it is, especially with our leverage trading and all that good stuff. So with that being said, I thank you guys so much. I really do. I appreciate you guys coming in and spending time with all of us tonight. You guys be safe out there. Keep your heads up. Don't get ahead of yourself, right? Because, yes, we've had a good day, but we are still in the weeds. We are still not out of it yet. All right? So, be safe. I'll see you guys all tomorrow. All right, guys? See ya.